Are you someone who has read so many books on how to create good habits, atomic habits, power habits? You've read all those books. You listen to those podcasts. You make your to-do list. You make your promises to yourself. And then 3 weeks into it, 11 days into it, you stop and you go right back to where you were before. You're wondering, why can I get this thing right? And you see other people that just seem to have developed that habit. Like, how are they doing it? Like, seriously, what is the secret sauce? Like, someone needs to give us the silver bullets to this thing. I have good news and bad news for you. I'll start with the bad news first. The bad news is there is no silver bullet, and there is no magic potion, and there is no magic life hack or trick or any of those adjectives or nouns that you want to give it. The good news, however, is that you can also be one of those people that people look at and say, how is he doing it? How is she doing it? So think about an area of your life or a habit that you have been working on off and on for years. And I want you to hold that in mind while I tell you the story. So Kelly came to me way back when I was a weight loss coach, that she wanted to lose weight. And she had quite a bit of weight to lose, right? Let's say for her to get to ideal weight, she was going to have to lose, I don't know, about 70 pounds, right? 70 pounds of weight. That's about 30 something kilograms. So as part of my weight loss coaching, I always started with mindset coaching first, right? Mindset, identity, all of that good stuff. And we did all those exercises and it seemed like she was getting it. She was so pumped. She was so hyped for this thing. And she was following all her protocols so well. She was doing really great. And then, like 2 weeks into it, life started to happen. But actually, life wasn't happening. She was happening to herself. Because when we looked at her routine or maybe what else was surrounding her life, like work and all of these things, they were all actually the same. It's not like she had to travel for work. Her work hours didn't change. Nothing changed. But then for whatever reason, she just couldn't continue at the pace that she was continuing on. Granted, she's not a robot. But let me tell you what came out of that conversation. We found out that Kelly thinks of herself as a plus size person. That's how she sees herself. That's how she talks about herself. And that's certainly how she thinks about herself. So if Kelly continues to hold strong this identity of I'm plus size, I'm thick, I'm this, I'm that, how, pray tell, is she ever going to be the person who actually is whatever size that she was trying to be? So let me put it in context for you. Kelly was a size 16, US 16, and she was trying to just get back to a healthy 8. But she sees herself, talks about herself as a size 16. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something. I don't care what kind of habits you're trying to build. I don't care what life hack you have to build that habit. Until you start to see yourself as that future person, in that future identity, you will not break past your own cycles. You will continue to hold those old habits and you continue to fall back to them. Let me use myself as an example. Guys, most of the time when I'm talking on this show, I'm also talking to myself. I'm also a work in progress, right? We're all just farther along than each other in different areas of life. So please never ever think that I'm preaching to you from the top of the mountain, right? Like I've reached the top and I cannot improve anymore. No, it's not like that. Okay. So even for me, for a long time, I had this image, that I fantasized about, like, oh, this person that is running a 7, 8 figure business, you know, has this type of body composition or muscle composition, is this type of way to people. She's kind, she's empathetic, she's so generous, she's loving. But then I would hear myself in conversations and how I'm talking about myself. And I'm saying things like, girl, please, like, please, I don't have patience for people, or I'm not a people person. I'm like, really? You identify as somebody who is not a people person and you're not patient, yet you want to be that person who speaks to other people into other people's lives and build a whole business around it. Really? No wonder. That is why a lot of times, when I try to start this kind of thing, this kind of business, this kind of coaching or whatever, I start, I stop, I start, I stop. Because I have set some kind of standard for myself that is based on my identity of how I see myself. So remember the habit I said you've been trying to break, or you've been trying to keep for a long time, and you keep breaking it off and on, off and on. Now, I want you to think about the kind of person that actually has that kind of habits, that is just how they are. You probably know of somebody or know someone personally who is already living out that habit. How would you describe them? What words would you use to describe them? Confident, bold, discerning. Like, what word is that? You need to start seeing yourself being described as that word. Your identity is kind of like a thermostat, right? That's a great analogy for it. When you set the thermostat of your house to a certain temperature, how does the thermostat work? Let's say my own right now is 17 degrees Celsius, right? So that means I'm trying to keep it warm because it's warmer than it is outside, right? So outside, let's say it's 12 degrees Celsius. This thing is going to heat up. And then when the room gets to 17 degrees Celsius, it's going to just calm down and just be there. If it tries to go above that 18 degrees or whatever, it calms down again, brings it down to 17. That right there is what identity is. That is why, have you ever noticed where sometimes maybe, let's use your bank account, for example, it gets to a certain level, yeah, and then before you know it again, it's come back down to this level. It's like, what is going on? I was doing so well, right? Or you start a workout program and you're going and it's great. Or like Kelly, she's following all her protocols. And then all of a sudden, it's like, what is wrong with me? Like, first of all, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just not aligned to the kind of person that you need to be in order to live that kind of life, right? You're calling yourself something else and you're trying to be something else. No wonder it feels frustrating to try to build a new habit. So before you go setting a bunch of to-dos and a bunch of, they call it habit stacking, right? Go back and think to yourself, like, who is the kind of person who has this kind of habit? What kind of person do I need to be so that I can actually have and sustain this habit? This is not an easy exercise to do, because when you do that exercise, even you will come to determine within yourself, do I even really want this? Why do I want this? Why do I want to be this kind of person? So that you don't find yourself going from one type of habit to another, trying to build something here, and then you're driving yourself crazy. Because every time you do that, you start, stop, you're eroding your own self-confidence. You make a promise to yourself and then you don't do it. Oh, for the next 1 month, I'm going to eat more veggies every day. Day 4, you're like, oh, please, I'm so tired of this. Because when you hear yourself talking and you hear yourself thinking, you're thinking, please, I'm not a veggie type of person. I'm not a broccoli type of person. Well, how do you plan to sustain a habit of eating broccoli every day or eating greens every day if you think of yourself as, please, I don't have time for that. I'm not that kind of person. Hopefully you're making that connection.